When you receive your new AmeriSpreader, it'll come on a flatbed truck. It'll come with the legs, all 3 sets of chains on each side, so a total of 6 sets of chains, 6 turnbuckles, 9 shackles, and you will have everything you need to mount this up. The winches will be installed on both sides. All you'll have to do is set your chains up to the length that you need them according to your truck's bed. We found that a lot of truck beds are different. We also supply the mounting locations for the hooks, so we'll supply 3 sets of hooks for each side, and depending on your model of truck and the way your bed is set up, you may have to do some welding or bolting to all these, just as we've done here. We've welded these hooks on to the outside of the bed, and we bolted these ones on through the backside because we had access to the backside of it. Every truck's different, but we will provide the hardware that you need in order to set this thing up and be successful. We added some hooks here for anchor supports on the AmeriSpreader. We've got one here leading forward, one leading straight up to hold the AmeriPatcher to the bottom of the truck. Take the tension off of the cables when it's finally mounted. So we'll show you now how easy it is to hook it up with the chains. We'll get it lifted up, and then we'll demonstrate showing some stone being spread out. As this thing stands right now, we've got it pinned into the highest position with these 4 legs. And then when we hook the AmeriSpreader up, we'll get it jacked up and supported on the chains and cables, and we'll be able to pull these pins and move these legs straight up out of the way so they're no longer dangling down near the ground. So we'll just take one hook at a time. It just goes right here on the end of the bed. And then this hook comes right back down to a support where there's a shackle on the inside. One shackle. This side. Same thing on the other side. On the outside edge of the bed. Hook down with the shackle. These are temporary supports just for lifting the spreader up into position on the back side of the truck. Once it's installed with the safety chains, the weight of the AmeriSpreader will be held by the chains rather than the cables. These are just the hooks. These will be the last thing to be tensioned. Throw it in there. Each set of chains has its own turnbuckle for adjusting the tension once you have it set up. Each chain has its own turnbuckle so that you can cinch up everything to make it nice and tight. So you'll see that there's 2 leads here. One leads forward. This prevents the box from coming back away from the truck. There's another lead that goes up, which prevents the top side of the AmeriPatcher that's coming underneath here. So this is what the spreader comes up against to stop it from going any further forward. And as we tighten this turnbuckle here, it's going to lift this front side of the AmeriSpreader up against the bottom here so it sits flat. So we're going to want to bring it up first and then forward as much as possible. So I'll tighten them by hand, and as I start to get tighter, you'll see this ridge start coming up the bottom. Snug up tight against the bottom of the bed. Also going to raise these feet right up off the ground. We're in our position we need to be. Anyone get over there, Dennis? Yeah. About a ½ an inch up. Okay, I'm up against. Okay, now you'll see I'm up against. This leg is now free. This side is up as well. Well, as you raise the winches up here, it's going to change the angle of the box. So we won't do any final tensioning until we're in the position that we want to be. And then we'll bring up the slack on our chains for the ones that support it in the back. We'll tighten all the turnbuckles up here. And once it's nice and tight with no slack in them, you're good to go. And there will be no moving back and forth or side to side. And it'll be like one secure unit. So you can leave the legs right in because they raise up and pin into position. And they will not interfere with any of the moving up and down, back and forth, because it's just like one singular unit. Very simple to pull the pin, bring it up to its highest position. Do it, Dennis. That. Now I'm very critical when I do this, so I like the wire to be nice and straight and coiled up perfectly. A little bit of my OCD kicking in, but it makes everything nice and neat. Slide that over. And then just begin winding up your winch here. And you'll see the angle of the AmeriSpreader itself is going to change. So you can dump this from any angle. It will not affect the way that the stone falls out of the box. I like it to look flat. So what I'm going to do is raise this up on an angle right now because the bed is flat. So as we raise the bed up, the bottom of the AmeriSpreader is going to be parallel flat with the ground. Now we'll come up at the same time. And like I said, we're going to go way up so that this thing is angled up towards the dump body. And when we go to dump the stone into the box, it'll be flat and we'll be able to dump nice and smooth. This is also a good transport position because going up on the angle makes it so you can still see the taillights on the truck. Absolutely recommend that there be taillights that are visible above the rear bumper as well, so that you can see on the sides turn signals and running lights. Just like this truck has the lights built into the tailgate here on the back side. Okay, now this looks like a very steep, awkward angle. As I stated, this is angled up because when we lift the bed, it's going to come flat to the ground. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and secure this by moving our chain links up. And we're going to tighten those turnbuckles. Same thing with this one here. This one will always stay tight because it's what's keeping it up against the bottom of the truck. This one came in a little bit because of the angle of it. So the dump truck, being that this is a unit that is only attached to the bed, it's designed to stay away from the frame of the truck. So even when we lift the bed all the way up, it's going to clear on the bottom and it will never hit the truck until it gets all the way to the tippy top. Everything comes flat right up against the back side of the bumper. And as I said, these chains here are the main supports for the back side of the spreader, so that all the weight doesn't remain on the cables. It's very clear in the manual that we don't want to have all the weight on the cables alone. So what we'll do is we'll actually take these up till they're tight, and you'll see that slack start going into the cables, and that takes the pressure off of them. Now these are loose, chains tight. Tighten this one up a little bit more. Tight, tight, tight. Now we've got one solid unit. A little bit more on this one here. This way. There we go. And just double check everything here. Tight, tight. And one more to tighten up over here to make sure everything's still tight for a final inspection before you start dumping anything into the box. Now we're good and tight, we're good and tight, we're good and tight. And if you come look underneath here, you'll see that everything is secured and up against all of the brackets that we put in. I'm actually going to bring this one up a little bit so that it comes up against this gap. Alright, now we're nice and tight and secure. This doesn't go anywhere. We're ready to release our pins on our dump body, and we can make passes with the spreader. So what we're going to want to do is open up our gate openings prior to putting stone into the box. And you don't get anything out of the box until you pull the main lever, which is here. So this is what actually opens it. There's different holes for different settings to how big of the opening you want. So you can pull that way on the other side here. And it comes with 2 pins. You just misplaced one. So once you get it to the opening that you want, pin it. This is the discharge suit. Open. There's all the way closed. And we're back open, and I'll pin it into position. Okay. And we're open. Then you'll see these bars here. These are for cutoffs, so we can actually split the sides of the box where we want material to come out. So if we want to isolate this side only, we'll have these levers open. We'll close these ones over here, and then we will only get material coming out of this side of the box. Maybe if you need to do a sidewalk, or you only need to do a 4-foot section. These are split off and isolated by 1-foot sections. Now, as you can see, we could go from multiple different positions. We could spread from the center. We could spread from the side. There's multiple configurations to get you exactly where you need to be. Driver and the operator should be keeping an eye on the amount of material left in the truck, and before you finish a pass, you want to know that you've got enough before you start or finish a pass, and then just go ahead and get refilled, and then come back and finish your stone laying. You want to make sure that you're pinned in for transport, so this is all the way in the closed position. We pin it in, we lock it in. Now we're back at the shop, and we're going to start taking the AmeriSpreader off of the dump truck. It's a very simple process as well. What you're going to do is take the slack up out of your cables. So now that the cables are taken up, all the pressure is going to be off the chains. You can see them starting to slack out. Once you get sufficient slack in the chains, you're going to go right up on top and move these chains back so that you have enough length come all the way down to the ground. I usually leave 3. You know you have enough. You can do the same thing on the other side. Now we're able to start coming down. Sorry, we got to take our legs and bring them down so we have something to stand on. Let's lower the legs, Dennis. Don't forget that. All the way to the highest position, right where we got it from originally. Now it goes in. Now we're going to lower the winches and bring the legs right down to the ground. So what we're going to do is put a little bit of slack on the chain that runs forward. Once it's loose, you can loosen it by hand. We're going to put some slack in it so that it doesn't cinch up as the back end comes away from the truck. As it lowers down, it's going to pull this through. To 20 minutes for mounting and unmounting. Yeah, it is most of the time spent here with these winches. It's best to do with 2 guys. Coming soon, we may have an electric winch option available. If we were going to keep this box, we could get real fancy with it. Weld the nut onto the end of this winch handle. Then we can use a drill to bring these up and down real quick, in a matter of seconds. Always thinking ahead here at Paper Tech. Okay, so now that we're just about even, we're going to loosen the shackles that go up and hold the spreader to the bottom of the box. You see we're off the ground by about 2 inches, 3 inches here on this side. Once we loosen these turnbuckles, everything's going to come flat down to the ground. It starts coming away from the box here. Everything's now coming down to the ground and we'll be able to disattach it. Everything stores right down inside the box. That's it. If you need support in any way, we're available. We're always able to take a call and give you feedback, instructional installation instructions, anything we can do to help you guys get these things set up, we're here. Hey, welcome back and thanks for tuning in. I'm Tim Martino. I'm here with Pavement Group. No, yes? Do it again. Okay.
We need one of those things.
Ready? Hi, thanks for tuning in. Welcome back. My name's Tim Martino, Parts and Service Manager for Pavement Group. And today we are going to show you how to install. What are we doing? What are we doing? Setting it up? What is it? You still filming? Okay. We're going to show you how to set it up. We're going to show you how to hook it up to the truck in a few simple steps. So quick and easy. You'll see. I'm just going to go through it here. Dennis over here is my partner. He's going to do the other side while I do this side. So it's going to be symmetrical, both sides. You can see the view from here. Rest assured, it's going to be done the same on the other side. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our hooks onto the truck. And they're going to go right onto the bed. Hooks right up to the top. We're going to pull our slack out of our winch here and make sure that it's all nicely wound up or unwound. Just enough to get to the shackle here. This is for lifting purposes only. We have safety chains here on the outside which hold the back side of the AmeriSpreader up to the truck. So we will put these in place, and as we bring the winches up, we'll adjust these afterwards to hold the weight of the load. We will never put the whole full weight of the load on these cables. That's just another safety feature that we have. We're always worried about safety here, and you never want to drive down the road with these cables holding the full weight of the load of this thing. We've got safety chains and we've got cables. The next thing we'll do is we'll run the rest of our turnbuckles and our chains. So we've got a longer turnbuckle here that goes on the front hook. This brings the AmeriSpreader up to the back side of the truck where we've installed mounting points down here on the bottom so that it can't go any further up. So that'll suck. It'll rest against there. Then we have secondary turnbuckle and shackle and chain to bring the spreader up off the ground and rest it up against the bottom of the truck. This ensures that this is one solid unit. It's almost like a tugboat and a barge being combined, and it doesn't go anywhere. It's solitary, connected to the bed only, so there's no parts of the frame that are going to be rubbing or touching as you bring the bed up or tilt it down. It's just going to be one solid unit. Here, buddy, I got you. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and bring the turnbuckles up front, up first. So we're going to raise this up to the bottom of the truck bed. We want it to come up against. We've already seen that we butted the back side of the spreader up against these. Okay, now we're going to raise it up so that we close this gap and it's up against the bottom of the body. We do that by turning these turnbuckles here. This is also going to raise the legs right up off of the ground so we can put those in the storage position. Just start it off by hand. It's a 7/8 inch hex head for a wrench. I like to just stick the wrench in the middle here in the turnbuckle and then slide it back and forth and turn it. It makes it very easy to turn this turnbuckle up. You'll know that you're in position once this closes this gap and it's up against the bed of the truck. Up against, how about you?
Good.
Hey, I'm going to take up the winches. Make sure these are nice and clean, winding up evenly. Don't want to get any tangles or bird's nest in there. This will also make sure that your cables don't get frayed or messed up. So if they're in a nice straight line like that, you know you're in business. rear of this up, it's going to cause a little bit of slack in those forward leading shackles. Once we get it in the position where we need it, we will adjust the chains on the back side that are holding it up for support, and we'll make sure all the shackles are nice and tight, and it's ready to drive down the road or hold still. Go ahead and take a little note of experience that they may get in my way when I want to tighten the turnbuckles later, so I'll put the legs up last. Just let Dennis catch up here. Adjust our chains on those upper turnbuckles. And we're going to tighten our turnbuckles, and it's going to take the tension off of the cables. See the cable's tight now. Put the weight of the spreader onto the chain turnbuckle. Take that cable and put some slack into it. That's it. Now we're fully supported on the turnbuckles. The cable is slack. We're going to come take these up here so that it can't come back away from the body of the truck. We're going to double check and triple check all of our connectors, our shackles, our chains, all our nuts and bolts on our turnbuckles, and ensure that everything is secure before we take it down the road. Tight, tight. We've got nuts and bolts here. We want to make sure those are secure. Nut and bolt here, make sure that's secure. We have a shackle nut right here. We want to make sure that's secure. Another shackle with a nut and bolt for the turnbuckle, nut and bolt for the turnbuckle. Another set here, shackle nut, or I'm sorry, turnbuckle nut and bolt, turnbuckle nut and bolt. Same thing on the other side. All of our tensions on the chain, not the cables. Everything's tight. Same thing over here. Loose cable, tight turnbuckle. We're going to check our shackle nut. That is tight. Turnbuckle nut and bolt. Turnbuckle nut and bolt. Shackle nut and bolt. Turnbuckle nut and bolt. Sorry, here's the shackle nut and bolt. Another one here. Turnbuckle nut and bolt. Now see what we found here. This is not good. We have a bolt that has come loose from the nut right here on this turnbuckle. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a new lock nut on there with a little bit of thread lock, and then we'll be fine. Hey. Okay. Let's get lock nuts installed. catastrophic. But that's why we double and triple check everything, right? Safety, safety. Okay, we'll just get a lock nut, install that on there. We'll be good to go. Already
12 minutes is what it took.
Yeah? It's not bad.
Yeah.
What did I say, 15?
15?
Yeah.
You can mention that.
So it took a total of 12 minutes for the two of us to hook this up to the truck. For that amount of time in the morning. You can do it while you're warming the truck up. You might want to put lock nuts on all these. Like Dennis said the other day, that's what we should do. It's very important to keep in mind that if you're going to go buy replacement parts off the shelf, such as the turnbuckle or anything, these do not come stock with a locking nut for the outside. And as we saw in the video before, it just is a risk of those nuts coming off of the bolt. So we're going to add our own lock nuts, nylon lock nut, and make sure that those are secure. We're always going to check them anyway for a safety standpoint, but having the lock nut on there is going to ensure that you have less of a chance of that nut coming undone while it's attached to the turnbuckle and the chains.
want me to get the speed or you want to go straight? Yep. What's that? It came down. Okay. You want me to go back? We're on respray it. Cover this up. Alright, just come on back. We'll cover this up. We're on to respray. There's no